Jan Ryberg with StrumHum.com with our Sunday night live lesson. We are going to do, as always, we'll do some technique for the right hand, technique for the left hand. We're going to work some note reading exercises out of the Christopher Parkening book, and we'll have a little rock riff at the end. Let's review our earlier techniques. Again, this is all classical techniques, so we're going to sit classical style. Left leg is raised up, guitar is on the left leg, drop down, arm coming over the top, nicely arched wrist, knuckles more or less parallel to the strings, thumb out to the left of the index finger. Our first exercise was the circle arpeggio, thumb on 4, index on 3, middle on 2, ring finger on 1, and we plucked 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index, and we changed strings with the thumb while the fingers stayed on the top 3 strings. With that same hand position, we've done the block chord, plucking all 4 strings at once, fingers getting a little bit more underneath the strings, just enough so that they don't run into the adjacent string. Keep that wrist arched, thumb out to the left index finger. We pluck all 4 strings, thumb plucks over to the 5th, thumb moves over to the 6th. With the same hand position, we've done the roll, fingers are planted, thumb goes over to the 6th string, play 6th string rest stroke. Again, that means you're playing the string and then coming and resting against the adjacent string. 5th string rest stroke, 4th string free stroke, fingers are still planted, index plays, middle plays, ring finger plays. These peel off from a planted position. You don't pick them up and play. So they're planted, we do thumb, 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 index, middle, ring. Left hand, we've been doing our chromatic scale with 2 shifts, index and middle of the right hand, alternating, probably rest stroke, but doesn't have to be. Let's do 4 plucks per fret as we go up the chromatic scale. The left hand rules, fingers are curved, right next to the fret, on the fingertip, thumb behind the neck, pointing up. 1st fret. 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 4th fret, watch that pinky, keep him curved, shift, 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, shift, 9th fret, 10th fret, 11, and 12. Now we've done that same thing, improvising rhythm. Anything you need to do to keep that interesting and continue to do a lot of work with that left hand position. Then we also did a set rhythm, shave and a haircut. That helps get independence between the 2 hands. New exercise for today, 2 new exercises for today. First one's called the 2-string chromatic. Put your thumb on the 2nd string, middle finger or index or ring, plucking the 1st, back and forth, thumb, finger, thumb, finger, thumb, finger. Get used to that. Now we're going to go up chromatically on the 2nd string. So we're getting the 2nd string to sound with the thumb, and the 1st string is open. Then we go to the 2nd fret. This forces you to keep your fingers curved and up on the fingertips. Pinky. If you collapse that finger, that 1st string is going to get muted. Shift, 2nd string, Second string, 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, pinky at 8, shift up that index finger, make sure that first string is keeping nice and clear, no muted first strings. Make sure you're doing the right hand, thumb finger, thumb finger, thumb finger. Back down, 11, 10, 9, shift, 8, 7, 6, 5, shift, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you were watching last week and you did Spanish melody, this is a great exercise to help with the technique for Spanish melody. This also works on any pair of adjacent strings. 6th string, 5th string would be open. This forces your fingers to really move over and get way curved down on that 6th string. So this is one of the best exercises to really get that left hand position, because if you are getting both strings to sound, you're doing it right. It's almost impossible to play this with a bad hand position and get both strings to really ring. So one of the best exercises for left hand position. Our other new technique will be hammer-ons. These are slurs or hammer-ons. And the hammer-on is where we are going to pluck the open string. Then with the left hand, we're going to come hammering down with enough force to get the first fret to sound with just the left hand. Now, you total beginners, you're not going to get much sound. Even if you're not getting any sound, you continue to try and do the hammer-on, because it will gradually get the technique, the strength, to do it. 2nd finger, 2nd fret. After each hammer-on, make sure you're relaxing that finger. 3rd finger, 3rd fret. It'll be a little bit harder to do that 3rd finger. Keep it curved. The more curved it is, the more accurate and the more power. You've got to come down with a lot of speed and momentum to get that string to sound. If you touch the string slowly, you're just going to kill the sound. So you've got to come down fast enough so that the vibration isn't stopped. Pinky finger, obviously the hardest one. Don't play with a flat pinky finger, you'll never get a hammer on. We're going to do this, we're not going to do it in the lesson today, but do that on every string. Let's go down and do the 6th string. It's your jaws hammer-on. 2nd fret. Bass note is a lot easier to get sound. String is thicker. It's wrapped in metal. Sustain's a little easier. Pinky. Good. When we add this to our every lesson warm-up, we'll do 4 hammer-ons per fret. Then we'll move to the 2nd finger, 3rd finger, 4th finger, and we'll go right to the 2nd string, 1st fret, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, etc. We'll keep going across all 6 strings. Real good exercise. And again, for you beginners, even if you're not getting any sound, just try and come down on that string very accurately and with as much force as you can. Really helps the left hand. Okay, let's move on to the parkening book. We're going to talk a little theory and then start this week's lesson. The theory is on page 34. They've got rests, and a rest is a symbol for silence. In our case, rests are going to be used as we get 2 or 3 more voices played at the same time. Music will get more and more specific about telling you, okay, bass part is resting while the melody plays, or melody is resting, or inner voice is resting while other 2 voices are playing. So they're just trying to get more specific with when one or another voice are silent. Whole rest, little black box hanging down from the line. Doesn't matter which line it is, it just hangs down. That's 4 beats of rest, just like the whole note. Half rest, little black box sitting on top of the line, 2 beats, just like the half rest. Quarter note rest, that little sideways zigzag, 1 beat of silence. And the 8th note rest, that little number 7 with a clown nose, that gets a half a beat, just like the 8th note gets a half a beat. So these rests, they will make more sense to you as you start playing these songs that have them. Don't worry if you don't fully understand the theory of it, but that's what they are. He also introduces the tie on this page. The tie is the curved line connecting 2 notes of the same pitch. That means those 2 notes are now one long sustained note. 2 quarter notes tied together equals a half note, or 2 beats. Usually you will see a tie when it's a complex rhythm, or when they're trying to tie 2 notes across the bar line. You'll very rarely see what's written here. 2 quarter notes tied together, they would just write a half note. Okay, then at the bottom of page 34, they're getting you ready for the next exercise, our next song, and that's studying 2 voices. They've got the 2 parts split between a treble part and a bass part. We're going to play each part separately. You're going to try and get the melody in your head. You're going to try and get the bass in your head. Get comfortable with the muscle memory on both parts. Then we're going to put them together. So exercise A, let's sight read this. So it starts out with an A, 3rd string, 2nd fret. Let's play exercise A. Ready, go. A, 4 beats, 2, 3, 4, then a C, 2nd string, 1st fret, back to A, open B, let it ring, 4 counts, 3, 4, last measure, D, 3rd fret, open B. All right, let's do it again. This time try and sing those letter names. Ready, play and sing. A, 2, 3, 4, C, A, B, 2, 3, 4, up to D, 3rd fret, D, B. Remember, the quicker you can sing those pitches, the faster you'll learn them, the longer they'll stay in your head. Part B, bass line, and the bass line is always going to be with the thumb. This is our first example of using the rest. We've got a rest on beat 1. So I'm going to say 3, 4, and then 1 is a rest. Then we come in with those bass notes. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, rest, 4. Next measure, rest, E in the bass. Rest, E, rest, E. Let's do it again. 3, 4, rest. A, rest, A, rest, A, rest, E in the bass. Rest, E, rest, E. Okay, now very slowly, we're going to put these 2 lines together. We're not going to try and keep them in time. Just very slowly get your fingers playing both parts. So, beat 1, we have A, while the bass note is resting. Beat 2, A is sustaining, and we play the bass note on 2, on 3, and on 4. Next measure, we have C on beat 1. Beat 2, C keeps down, don't pick that C up. Beat 2 is the bass note. Beat 3, A, 3rd string, 2nd fret, followed by A in the bass. Now you notice I didn't try and actually stop the bass note from sustaining through that rest. At this point, it doesn't really matter. They're just telling you when to come in with that bass note. Next measure, open B, low E in the bass. Last measure, D on beat 1, E on beat 2, B on beat 3, E on beat 4. Alright, now those two parts, if you look at the top of the next page, 35, those two parts are squished together onto one staff. Now we're going to read it on that one staff now. A little bit easier to read both parts. We're going to keep semi-steady this time. 3, 4. Melody, A. 3 A's in the bass. Next measure, C on beat 1, A on beat 2, A on beat 3, A on beat 4. Next measure, open B, 3 E's in the bass. Next measure, D, E in the bass, and B, E in the bass. Alright, now total beginners, what you need to do is play one measure at a time and cycle practice it over and over and over and over and over until that measure is 100% memorized. Then you go to the next measure over and over and over. For example, here's first measure, cycle practice. Ready, and A, and 3 A's in the bass. Do it again. If you do it about 3 or 4 times, you've got the muscle memory and the sound memory for that measure. Then you can go to the next one. Second measure in cycle practice would sound like this. Ready, and C, bass, A, bass, C, bass, A, bass. And again, after about 3 or 4 repetitions, you've probably got it well enough. So you've got the muscle memory of what the right hand has to do, what the left hand has to do, and you're starting to get it in your head. You go through the whole song. There's a lot of repetition in this song, so you don't have to cycle practice every measure because you already have. So go through that whole song one measure at a time, at least 3 or 4 repetitions of cycle practice, then go back to the beginning. Also, total beginners, it's perfectly all right to write in some helpful hints about these pitches. Write in string and fret. Because you're trying to learn these songs. Your sight reading will get better gradually, but you're trying to get these songs in your fingers. So it's perfectly all right to write some hints in there. We'll be doing some note writing and reading exercises probably starting next week that will speed up your process for actual sight reading. All right, I'm going to play straight through this now just to show you what it's going to sound like. Total beginners, you're probably not going to be able to play this steadily yet, but you'll have a nice model for what to be working on. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. A. 3 A's in the bass. Second measure. C. A in the bass. A in the bass. Third measure. Open B. 3 E's in the bass. D. Third fret. Open B. Second line. C on beat 1. 3 A's in the bass. Open E. Back to C. Third measure. D. Second string, 3rd fret. Back to E in the bass. Open B. 3 E's in the bass. Third line. C. 3 A's in the bass. A. 3rd string, 2nd fret. Over to C. 3rd measure. Open B. E in the bass. G. 3rd string open. B. 2nd string open. Last line. A. 3rd string, 2nd fret. 3 A's in the bass. Open G. Open B. And A. And that A is tied. So the last beat, you do not restrike that A. You can see how next to last measure, melody note A is a whole note, and it's tied to the last whole note in the measure. That means you just hit, that's the next to last measure. Last measure is just a bass note. This third string second fret is theoretically still sustaining. Pretty much has died away, but you don't restrike it. Okay, now I'm going to play straight through it again without talk, so you can have a musical version of it. 3, 4. So this is a real good example of two parts at the same time, which is the whole foundation for classical guitar. And getting used to seeing that bass line, seeing that melody line. Bass line has the stems going down, melody line, stems going up. That's pretty standard from here on out. If there's two parts going on, that'll be shown with stems up, stems down. They're being very clear with both parts rhythmically having to have 4 beats in. Top voice, 4 notes, 4 beats, either with a whole note or 2 half notes. Bottom part has 4 beats, either with quarter rest, 3/4 notes, or rest, quarter, rest, quarter. All right, so real good study. And again, total beginners do a lot of individual practice on each measure, then try and string it all together. If you've played a while, you might be able to read straight through that. All right, for our rock riff for the day, let's real quick review the others. We've had Bad to the Bone, 05, 03, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 05, 03, 0, 0, 0, 0. We've had Smoke on the Water, 0, 3, 5, 0, 3, 6, 5, 0, 3, 5, 3, 0. We've had Peter Gunn, 0, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 5, 4. And go ahead and use good classical hand position on these, even though they're rock riffs. It's just a more fun way to get a lot of repetition, but continue to get a good hand position. Last week we did Mission Impossible, which was our first 2-string riff. 5, 5, then on the 5th string, 3, 5, 5, 5, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5th string, 3, 5, 6th string, 5, 5, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3, 5, 5, 5, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3, 5, 5, 5, 3. All right, now with every one of these riffs, we learn the riff on one string, and then I want you to move it to every string. With a single string riff, it's no big deal. Any single string riff can be taken to any string. Then I want you to move it up and down to any fret. As you move it to any fret, it's not going to sound like the original song anymore. That's good. That means you're improvising into a new song that you've created. And you use these new patterns, these new sounds, as a springboard to write your own pattern. It doesn't sound anything like Smoke on the Water. It's still has a good sound though. This is a great thing about the guitar. You can take patterns and shapes and move them all over the neck to create new sounds. A lot of fun. Now, last week with Mission Impossible, we had our first 2-string riff. Now, as we move this across the neck, actually up and down the neck, first of all, now it does not change sound. So a 2-string riff with no open strings is great. Now you can play Mission Impossible in every key. No matter where you play it, it sounds correct. Now as we cross over, these are called crossovers, where you take a pattern and you cross over to other strings. 5th and 4th string sounds good. Cross over to the 4th and 3rd. Still good. 3rd and 2nd. Not so good. And this is our 2nd string adjustment. Whenever you move from a pattern from the 3rd string to the 2nd, you adjust that 2nd string, just the 2nd string, over 1 fret. So it's 5, 5, 4, 6. 5, 5, 4, 6, 5, 5, 3, 4. Then when you cross that over to the 1st and 2nd, it's also a good idea to get in the habit of moving your 2nd string up. Then your 6, 6, 4, 6 will sound right. The 2nd string moving to the 1st was 4 to 6. The 3rd string moving to the 2nd had to be adjusted, so it's now 6, 6, 4, 6, 6, 6, 4, 5. And that little idea of 2nd string adjustment, one of the most important things you're going to do as far as understanding how the guitar neck works. Alright, our new pattern for the day, little Lady Gaga, Bad Romance, real easy, real fun little riff. Going to start out with the 6th string, open, 2 plucks, then up to the 7th fret, 2 plucks, 2 quick plucks, then up to 8, back to 7. That's the main part of it. Let's do that a little bit. 0, 0, 7, 7, 8, 7. 0, 0, 7, 7, 8, 7. Alright? Does it again with some syncopation. We talked briefly about syncopation. That's where the accented note comes in on the and of the beat. And that's what makes, you're going to find syncopation in virtually every popular song. So that second open, open, that comes in on the and of the beat. If you're tapping your foot, down, down, 8th note, That's on the and of 1, and 2. Oh, 7, 7, 8, 7. Oh, 7, 7, 8, 7. Oh, 7, 7, 8, 7. And the last part, real easy. 3, 3, 0, 3, 3. 3, 3, 0, 3, 3. That first 3 is also comes in on the and of the beat. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. Here's the whole riff one more time, nice and slow. Ready, and oh, 7, 7, 8, 7. Oh, 7, 7, 8, 7. Oh, 7, 7, 8, 7. quick review of everything we've done. Our new stuff. We did the 2-string chromatic, thumb plucking the second, finger plucking the first, and then we went up the chromatic scale on the second string, making sure both strings were very clear. Fingers way curved enough so that they're not leaning over on that first string. Then we did hammer-ons. These hammer-ons start with the open string. Open, hammer, open, hammer, open. We went to every fret using all 4 fingers, trying to relax the hand in between the hammer-ons. Every string, first 4 frets. Concentrating, if you need some, you will, if you're a beginner, you'll need extra work with 3rd finger and extra work with the pinky finger. In the Parkening book, we talked the theory of rests and ties on page 34, and then started studying 2 voices where there's 2 parts very clearly written out rhythmically for the top part and the bottom part. Remember, the fingers play the melody, thumb plays the bass. Don't worry too much about cutting the bass note off on those rests. Just the rests really at this stage are more for just showing you when to come in, not necessarily to cut off. Later on, the rests will be more important to cut off. And then we reviewed our pop pieces, and then our new one, Lady Gaga. Okay, and any questions out there in the land of live lessons? Okay, no questions today. So we'll see you next Sunday. Again, this is Jan Ryberg with StrumHum.com. Tune in next Sunday, 5:30, and we'll keep on. Thanks a lot.